In this video, we talk about the divisional round of the playoffs. I hope you all enjoy, and without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the Bengals game and the oddity that occurred in that game. First off, you had two pretty explosive offenses being held to under 20 points, which that's pretty crazy enough. The other thing is, the Bengals QB, Joe Burrow, who I think you all know very well. And if you want to hear more about my thoughts on Joe Burrow, go check out the video I made a few weeks ago. But the fact Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times and was still able to propel his team to a win is miraculous. The way it ended with the last second field goal was once again miraculous off the Tannehill interception. It looked like the Tennessee Titans were driving. It looked like they were going to set themselves up for the game winner, and then the momentum shifted with the interception. There were so many different factors in that game. The multiple interceptions by Tannehill, the 9 sacks, as I said, the fact Joe Burrow threw for over 300 yards and not a single touchdown, and his only interception coming off the hands of his receiver, that's a wild part of that game. The fact Evan McPherson, before walking onto the field, did a practice kick and then said, and I quote, "Guess we're going to the championship game." That is ridiculous. That entire game was wild. And if it was just that game in the divisional round, it would be one of the more memorable divisional round games and sets of games in recent memory. But no, that is the least weird of all of the divisional games that happened this year. Because if we're being completely honest, it's not shocking Joe Burrow was able to overcome the 9 sacks. Because, let's be completely honest, that offensive line has not been good the entire year. It has not been good the past 2 years Joe Burrow has been in the helm and in control of this Bengals offense. So that's not surprising. You know what is surprising? The next game, where Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers were held to 1 offensive touchdown and 10 points, and were defeated by an offense that scored no offensive touchdowns. That's ridiculous. A team not being able to score a single offensive touchdown and somehow being able to come out on top is one of the most ridiculous things I have heard in a long time. If this was a regular season game, it would be a ridiculous outcome. But this is a divisional round game against a number 1 seed. A number 1 seed that has a lot of people's eyes a top 5 quarterback of all time. Maybe not after this performance, but still. And they were able to hold them to 10 points and beat them without an offensive touchdown. Damn, are the 49ers the Packers' kryptonite. That is absolutely ridiculous to me. The fact that no offensive touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers played bad, but not horrible. And it was a singular touchdown from Aaron Rodgers on the opening drive. The 49ers defense was able to hold Aaron Rodgers to 3 points through basically 3 3/4 of a game. That's ridiculous. Not only that, but the fact that in the last 4 matchups, Green Bay has not been able to beat the 49ers once is also ridiculous. And beyond all of that, this also means that in one day, not only one, but both of the 1 seeds fell on the same day to the 4 seed. And not only that, that's not even the craziest part. This now marks the first time the Bengals have made the AFC Championship game since 1988, if I'm not mistaken. That is ridiculous in and of itself as well. And not only that, above all else, it's crazy that it was the quarterback we had the most faith in that let us down the most. And the quarterback we had the least amount of faith in produced the same amount as what we expected. We expected Brian Tannehill to maybe have a minus game. We expected Jimmy G not to have a great game. We didn't expect Joe Burrow we didn't know what to expect from Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow really delivered. Maybe his QBR, all the advanced stats don't say that. But if you watch that game, you know when Joe Burrow needed it, he got his team down the field. And you know Joe Burrow did his absolute best to get his team to the place it needed to be. Joe Burrow, and I'll get to this, outside of the last game, Joe Burrow was the best quarterback on the field. In all except one of those games. But I digress. And throughout that entire first day, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous what happened. And that would be ridiculous enough to put this in one of the crazier divisional rounds the NFL has seen. But that's only day 1. And day 2 is arguably more crazy than day 1 was. The first game, it seems like the Rams are going to destroy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady does not look on point at all. Bucs offense and defense don't look good. But then the door is left slightly ajar because at the end of the first half, Cam Akers fumbles at the 1-yard line. That doesn't allow them to go up and make it a 4-possession game. A 5-possession game, if I'm not mistaken. Either a 4 or 5-possession game. It will come into play later. Regardless of whatever it was, that score would have put it away. But no, Cam Akers couldn't do that. And throughout the third quarter, and throughout a lot of the fourth, it's the same thing. Just didn't seem quite like the Rams could put it away, but it definitely felt like Rams were in control. And then Brady turned it on in the fourth. He got his team down the field. The defense made great plays, and it felt like what the Falcons game felt back in the Super Bowl a few years ago. And you felt like it was 28-3 all over again, and they were going to come back and they were going to win the game. And then Matthew Stafford showed why you trade and why you get star level talent at the quarterback position. Because if you're Sean McVay, you don't call the plays you call at that end of the game if you have Jared Goff. But you do when you're Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford delivered. He shut it down. He got the ball to his playmakers. He got the ball to Cooper Kupp. And they made it right. They did it. And they sealed the game away. They went from what looked like was going to be a destroying of the Buccaneers to what looked like an absolute meltdown, to Matthew Stafford saving the game and showing why trading for him was the right move. Another note on this is that the trade for Von Miller is going to come down and become one of those X factors if they make it to the Super Bowl and for their games moving forward. Because last game, he was a game wrecker. He was a game wrecker in that game. I think he had 2 sacks. He had a forced fumble. He was all over the place. You could feel his presence. And him on that edge gives a new dynamic to that defensive line that you just do not see in very many places throughout NFL history, let alone in the league now. And I think that is going to be one of the things that's going to help them moving forward. But I digress. Just that game in and of itself is really crazy. And it showed the talent both teams have. But that's 3 games back to back to back that all were crazy endings, and all were ended by the visiting team kicking a field goal with time expiring to win the game. Now, if that trend holds, you would think that would happen in the last game, right? No. We got something even better. We got maybe, just maybe, the most legendary duel between 2 young quarterbacks that we will ever see. These were 2 quarterbacks. This was Josh Allen's chance to show he had arrived. And he is a top 5 quarterback in this league. And I think if he's able to keep up the play he's been able to in the second half of this year, I think he is a top 5 quarterback. But Mahomes showed why he was the best quarterback in the league. And why he has been the best quarterback in the league for the past 2 years. So first off, let's talk about how this game was back and forth the entire way. Each quarterback played perfect ball back to back to back to back to back. Gabriel Davis had the absolute game of his life. That's another story within this story. Gabriel Davis had the greatest postseason for a single receiver. My bad. The best postseason game for a single receiver. No receiver has ever had 4 touchdowns. And I believe he had something like 180 plus yards and 4 touchdowns. That's absolutely ridiculous in and of itself. But not only that, they needed every ounce of it to stay in this game. And you know what? Josh Allen won the game not once, but twice. The first time with a little over a minute left, which, yeah, you could say, okay, excuse me there. Did he really win the game there? Like, cool. Yeah, he scored. But he gave Mahomes a lot of time left, right? So sure, you could say that. But Mahomes gives it back to Allen with about a little under a minute, right? And Allen is able to go and score again and give Mahomes no less than 13 seconds left. And you know what Andy Reid says to Patrick Mahomes reportedly? When things see grim, be the Grim Reaper. And you know what Patrick Mahomes does with 13 seconds left? He goes down and he kicks the field. He gets his players in a field goal position to go to overtime, and they win the game. You know how ridiculous that is? I believe it was something like 25 combined points after the 2-minute warning. That is more points than what was scored in the entirety of the Green Bay game. There were more points scored in less than 2 minutes of the Bills game than there were in the entirety of the Green Bay game. That's mind-boggling. That's... wrap your head around that. You have one of the lowest scoring games where literally one team, the team that won, did not score an offensive touchdown. And then on the other side, you have a game that in the last 2 minutes was able to outscore the entirety of that first game. That's crazy. And not only that, but it also showed why overtime rules are so flawed. I'm going to talk about overtime rules probably after the season. But really, what I want to touch on here is it shows why overtime rules aren't great for deciding games, because one of two things happen when you get into overtime. Either the offense is tired or the defense is tired. Either way, you're not giving the other team a fair opportunity. Because if the defense is tired, the offense is going to score first. If the offense is tired, the defense is going to stop the offense on each side, and then it's fair, right? Except for the fact that it's just whoever scores first. After that, it's not, you don't get a rebuttal to the first score, so it could just be some lucky something or another, and the game is over. And that's not what you want. I'm not saying we changed college overtime rules. I'm going to go out with a whole slate about it, but something does need to change, especially for the playoffs. If you want to keep the regular season overtime rules the same, fine, but the playoff overtime rules need to change. With that all said, I just want to say to everyone, this was one of the greatest divisional round weekends we have ever witnessed. We witnessed greatness. We witnessed 3 young budding superstars, 2 all-time greats, an all-time great coach, and then just an all-time great slate of games, and the wildest finishes I have ever seen in my entire life, in my 10 plus years of watching football. So take that as you will and appreciate this season for what it is, wildness and all. Thank you so much, Smash fans, for tuning into this video. Check out my blog, PD Smash Sports, if you want to read some work I have done. And without further ado, PD Smash signing off.